saw Sally come in. Sheila McGuire Riggs, would you come up? And Sue Dvorsky was not able to make it, so Andy McGuire is our current chair. And this is really for a photo op because you won't get to see this again for a while.
Now you'll all have to go out and register some Democrats.
Bonnie has been very well introduced by former Governor Chet Colbert. Thank you. And I heard Bonnie do a very nice speech on women helping women with the Pastoral Counseling Center. And I said, Bonnie, would you come and speak on some of those kinds of issues? Because it was so inspiring. So she agreed to do it. So here she is.
Thank you. And Joanne, weren't you the first woman ever elected statewide?
No.
You were?
Lieutenant Governor, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because it was a separate office then.
Yes. But I think we should recognize I don't wear a watch anymore. I'm going to try to be brief. I have really three things to say, but I'll weave them together in whatever random ways my brain happens to decide. One is we had a really bad election last time, and it's quite upsetting. So we'll talk about that for a moment. Two is it can happen again. Cannot happen again. Everything we care about, a woman's right to choose, women's health, the safety of women and children, everyone in their homes. It's all at stake. And then finally, I will thank you again for being the great women leaders that each of you are. When I think about the last election, and I look at what's happening to Hillary Clinton today, I happen to support Hillary Clinton, but that isn't the point. If Elizabeth Warren were running, they'd be doing the same thing to her. Well, what is it they're doing? How many of you remember former Senator from Arkansas, Dale Bumpers? Just a great speaker, great Southern storyteller. I practiced law briefly with Dale and Senator Colbert. And this is what Dale Bumpers said virtually every day in his own Southern drawl. Well, here's what Republicans do all the time. They dismantle government when they get in power. They cut taxes on the wealthiest among us, and they investigate Democrats. Doesn't really need to be anything going on. They just want to create that cloud. I can't tell you anything about private servers or exactly how emails are preserved. But I can tell you that there's no story there. Even the Des Moines Register and the New York Times have consistently, not to mention how bad the AP has been, reported inaccurate legal accounts of what happened. Nothing happened. I'm sure it's the same thing that happened to me. I got sworn into my position. Somebody said, here's what you have to do. I don't know anything about email servers. I just did what I was told. It is just so clear that no matter who emerges in our party, and I assume it will be Hillary, They will be after them. It just doesn't matter. And they did that in the last election cycle. They did it to Bruce Braley. They did it to Stacey Apple. I don't know so much about other races because I don't live there. I live in Des Moines. And we suffered as a consequence of that. I remember seeing the first ad against Bruce in July, the 1st of July. It wasn't about issues. It's about stuff that would make us suspicious of him, those of us who didn't know him. That is their whole strategy. The notion of creating a scandal, of investigating, of bringing up clouds of doubt about people. That's all they have. They have no interest in governing, except to the extent they can dismantle everything that has been built. It's really heartbreaking. And I want to pay tribute to the folks from Planned Parenthood because you do this work every day. This work being fighting to give women health options in the midst of great chaos and misinformation. I remember being, when I was state chair in 1988, at a debate where Jesse Jackson was. I really grew to love that man. He just has a way of saying things. Someone in the audience stood up and really assaulted him because he wasn't pro-life. And Reverend Jackson let him go on and on for a while. And then the man finally quieted down, and Reverend Jackson said, "Well, excuse me, sir, but I need to correct your own words. You're not pro-life, you're just pro-birth, and then you don't give a damn." Well, that was right. So what do we do going forward? We have some former state chairs here. We should all really figure that out. But the one thing each of us can and must do, first of all, get people who aren't involved. That's what registering new people to vote really is about. We got the vote out last time. We didn't have enough votes. And so we need to really evaluate that. But then each of us needs to correct these things that are not true. We need to do it personally in our private conversations, and we need to do it publicly. Letters to the editor, calling reporters. I've never liked the idea of picking up the phone and calling a reporter, but the other side doesn't mind at all. They do it all the time. I'm not going to say we should lie, as they so often do, or misrepresent. That's not something we should emulate. But I really, really believe that if we can, this room right here is full of powerful people, men and women. If we can just understand what their strategy is and what their tactics will be, we can confront them and prevail, because everything really is at stake. And I have to say that it'd be difficult not to say a word about violence against women, because it is my passion. It is the one place where most people can agree. Women should be safe in their homes and on public streets. I learned most of what I know from Marty Anderson. She gets annoyed with me when I say that, but I've been a plaintiff's lawyer, and I did victims work from that perspective. And I had been exposed to domestic violence as a child, not in my home, but around me. But it was reading the feminist writers, Gloria Steinem premier among them, talking about how violence against women, domestic violence, just fear. Women feel walking out on a street after dark. How that's a means of controlling women in our society and in most societies, frankly. The work we did, both in the Attorney General's office and in the Department of Justice, as Governor Culver said, I got to go around the country and say, hi, I'm from the federal government. I really am here to help you. Give them money, because that's what we did. To reform the justice system, to reform police departments and prosecutors' offices and judicial offices. It was important work, and I can look back now, all those years since, and see that it has made a difference. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the women in the Iowa legislature, because I hear those women's voices, and I know that the experience that women have just living life does make a difference. And I also know that the men sitting in this room share my view. It isn't peculiar to women